What is going on, everybody? Welcome, Submission Fishing Live. It is Thursday, 7 p.m. Glad you guys could all make it. How's everybody doing tonight? See who we got in the house. Big Water Yak Fishing, number one today. Cal's sleeping. Who, Big Water? Shout out to Big Water Yak's father-in-law. What's going on? Glad you could watch us. New member. Awesome. Saltwater Slayer, what's going on? Oscar, glad you could join us. Oos. Let's see what else we got in here. TB Metal Art, Todd, Oos, welcome. Coach, glad you can join us. Surprised you're not out fishing today. Coach Worf in the house. Check him out, guys. Worf TV. This we got. Doug Rubin, what's going on, man? Peter, welcome. Good to see you back. Peter 86. Oos. Dario, what's up, man? Looks like he did pretty well. Spotty Bull out there killing it. Glad you could join us. Getting some baby rest. Graham, what's going on, man? Good to see you again. Salty Dangler. What's going on, Salty? Leonard Oos. What's up? My suffering partner, Leonard. We got the beat down this week. Zachary Riggs. What's going on? Mark G in the house. Mark G, what's going on? Yochinator Oos. Glad to see you back, man. Awesome. SD Fisherman. Glad you're here, dude. Always welcome. Love seeing the familiar faces. So we're almost there, guys. We got Thursday today. 2 more days till fishing. So those of you guys that don't know, we're going out for we're going to do a little fishing adventure out to, what are we leaving? Liberty? Going to Liberty Station launch. All those are welcome. It's a MMFC event, but everybody's welcome. So if you guys want to do that, I'm going to be fishing. A lot of us are going to be fishing out there. So would love to have you. I think the launch is at 7 a.m. I have to double check, but yeah, if you guys want to meet some of these guys in chat, I know I'll be out there. A lot of guys will be out there. Should be cool. Should be a lot of fun. So bring your kayak, get your fish on. Macrowave Investing, Oos, what's going on? Fernando, what's going on, dude? Long time no see. Glad you're here. Sound Fishing, Oos, Captain Dan, North County, Oos. That's right. Representing the Carlsbad, North County in the house. Cave Dog, that's right. Got the new hats in. Got the flat brim. What are they called? Slow Death Jig hats. Yeah, I was just kidding. Consider the logic. What's going on, Hyder? Glad you can make it. Right. Oh, Cave Dog, you're gonna miss the meetup, Cal, dude. That's all right. You made them all. You make all the other ones. We'll be there. Yeah, we're just gonna cancel if you can't go, Cal. It's just not the same. We'll let you off the hook this time. You're usually at all of them. You're Mr. Automatic. Dario getting trash talked. That's funny. So yeah, good stuff, guys. Glad you could be here. Got a good show for you guys today. We're gonna do like a halibut deep dive, kind of like I did with the spotty thing. Um, last time where I found a bunch of studies and stuff like that. So we'll go over the halibut, kind of the who, what, where, when, what they are, how to catch them, all that good stuff. Should be fun. Got some news. Got a bunch of other stuff going on, so we'll get through it. Should be a good show. We got some questions. If you guys have any questions in the chat, let me know as well. Dave Rage, what's going on, man? Out in Florida, dude. You're staying up late. I guess you're on the jet lag though, huh? It's only 7 o'clock for you. That's the only thing that sucks when travels. You get to stay up all night and then you come back and you're all tired. But hopefully you do some fishing out there in Florida. Let's see what we got in the news. There was actually some news stories. I guess we got the coho salmon has been returning up in Northern California. Some of the streams, it's something to do with the rains, like the rains to come by, but they've been seen in streams up in Northern California where places they haven't been seen in 25 years. So the cohos, it's endangered here, especially in California. It's pretty rare, but a lot of them are coming back, I guess, in big numbers too. So that's super cool. Like I said, 25 years since they've been seen in some of these rivers and streams. So they're starting to make a comeback. I thought that was pretty cool. It's always good to see, the revival. Or sometimes you think a fishery's dead and then they just make their way back. So I thought that was super awesome. Found the news story here. It was over on over on Amazon right here. I've never fished for the salmon, but I think that'd be super cool. I saw them up in Alaska one time where they were like red like that because they were dying. And I guess they go upstream, but they don't come back. And we made a trip in Alaska, and we saw them there just in ponds and streams. They're just sitting there chilling. But yeah, it's been a rare sight. Several Northern California streams over the last few months. The endangered coho salmon spawning runs from November to January last year. California saw more participation between October and December than the previous 12 months. National Weather Service said a substantial increase in the rain and snow. I guess that's what it was. Help more fish make spawn season for the, was that Tomales Bay? Nice. So I thought that was pretty cool. Give us some hope for some salmon. Too bad they don't come down this far. It'd be fun to fish for. I don't know. Probably couldn't get them though if they were endangered. Um, and then another story that I came across, and I didn't hear about this, so I don't know if you guys did either. But the apparently there was a fishing charter um, out of Oceanside that was fined for fishing in the MPAs. And I've actually been on this fishing charter. It was the Electra at a Helgren's in Oceanside, and apparently it happened last year. But I just saw the story come up, so I don't know if they kept it under wraps or what. But it was a commercial fishing boat. Actually, was in the what's it called, the Swami's Beach. So it was the Encinitas MPA. Yeah, Oceanside fishing charter fined after fishing the coastal protected area, and this was at a Helgren's. So this is a boat that actually fishes out of the Oceanside Harbor up here, and apparently somebody saw him and phoned it in, and it says right here, apparently the guy pleaded guilty, and he got a $5,000 fine for fishing in the MPA, which I actually didn't think was that bad. I thought it would be way more than that. I mean, I guess they can go up to $40,000. So if you're violated, you get up to $5,000 or $40,000, possible up to a year in jail. But yeah, I guess right here, Joseph Helgren. Helgren's is the place that was one of the charter places up here in Oceanside. Pleaded guilty to a violation, fishing code section 12012.5, resulting in a fine of $5,000 and an order to stay out of the Swami's conservation area for over 1 year. So I don't know if he can't go in that area or what, but yeah, I guess somebody caught him fishing, and I think this was over November. That was what it was. So it was a little while ago, but I guess he just went to court. So somebody picked up on the story. I just thought that was crazy. Um, there was no more details on it. I don't know if it was just negligence or what, but I mean, if you're a commercial captain, I mean, surely you know where the MPAs are. I would expect that from kind of a commercial person, where you're just out there on a recreational boat, and that's crazy though. I mean, the MPAs are one thing. I think they're all BS anyways. It's just the government seizure of land, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I disagree with the MPAs, but it's still, you're going to get dinged, and it's against the law to be in there. So I don't. On one end, I think it'd be cool if they did it on purpose, just to give them the middle finger. But maybe they were. I really don't know what it is, but yeah, they got that fat fines. You guys be careful with those MPAs, guys. And MPAs they're a fairly recent thing too. A lot of people don't know. They weren't like new fishermen don't understand the MPAs. They're really just in the last couple of years they've been put into place. It's not like these have been protected zones for all of California's life and 20 years or so. It's literally just the last couple of years, and they kind of do the same thing where they're getting the trying to take over land with the seals, and it's all just a bunch of nonsense, dude. Just taking away our right as fishermen, I think. So you guys got to keep an eye out for that stuff, though. Whenever you see it, you got to stand up for it. Whenever they're trying to take our fishing areas away. But we'll be here. If it comes up, we'll let you guys know. Same thing with like the CARB, and the emissions they're trying to push on the sport boats. I know Captain Dan was talking about the whole sea lion thing that they're trying to take over. What was it, like Baby's Beach or some children's beach or something over in La Jolla? It's like the sea lions go there to rest, and they're not even indigenous to the area, but they take it over. But then people want to protect it, and then just kick all the people out. It's crazy. I think. Mark G, Submission Fishing Co. Your jigs arrived today. Awesome, dude. Hopefully you slay with them. Oh, Zach, you guys got them too. Seems like you guys got them late. Unless you guys ordered some more, but a lot of people were getting. Oh, Mark, you got yours yesterday. Sorry, I can't keep track, man. Dude, we've had so many orders. I think I've got like 2 left. The blueberries and cream jig. Legitimately, I think there's 2 left. Like those are pretty much done. So we got another order coming. Probably a few months out though. So thank you for all the support, guys. By the way, Scooby Doo 20 Oos. Welcome, dude. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Let's see. Let's catch up on the chat real quick. We used to be able to keep the salmon. Oh, Coach Worf. See what you got here. We used to be able to keep the salmon down here. I caught one decades ago on a 3/4 day out of Long Beach. Oh, dude, that's awesome. I heard it's like, even if you're fishing lobster, even if you use like, if you go to the store and get like a salmon head, like not to use don't use them in a lobster pot, because this is what I've heard. But if like you pull up a lobster pot and there's salmon heads in it, you can get fined out here, because I don't know, there's like, or you could be, right? You could, because it's illegal to keep the salmon, and the salmon head's a good bait, but you don't want to like have to prove that you bought it at a store and then use the head and used it for bait. So that's just something I heard. It was like, someone was like, oh, don't know, the lobster heads are great, but don't use them because you get in trouble if you pull one up and you can't prove that it was like bought. It was crazy, dude. Dario, lucky no jail time, right? If you read the story, it was saying like they rolled up. They said people were like reeling up fish as they did, and they had keepers on the boat. So I'll put the story here in the chat for you guys, so you could actually read it if you want. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, apparently it was saying that they rolled up and people were like reeling up fish and stuff. So they were there for a while. I don't know, man. Crazy. Captain Adobo Oos, what's going on, man? They probably needed to download Fish Legal. Yeah, man, something. It's in you can see that they've got good radar. I mean, not radar, but sonar and all the mapping. It's in their things. It's not like you don't know. Well, maybe, unless they just drifted over it. I mean, it could have been a big mistake. I don't want to say that they were there fishing it illegally. I mean, it was illegal, but who knows? That's why we always hit the sea center, bro. That's right. That's funny. Never leave home without Fish Legal. Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, that's an app that we all use. Fish Legal. You can download it on your phone. It'll actually tell you like GPS coordinates where you are, and it'll show you where the MPAs are and stuff like that. So good to know if you guys are in a kayak or even boating and you're not sure. It's a quick way to look it up and see if you're in the MPA, especially if you're fishing La Jolla, because sometimes you go, like if you launch the beach of La Jolla, you go out, but if there's like a lot of wind and current, sometimes you drift south. But there's another MPA south, and sometimes you drift south into the MPA where you don't even know it. So you've gone north and you think you're clear, and you're like, you're not thinking about it, and you're just fishing, and suddenly you've drifted so far south, you actually end up in another MPA, and it's like, if you don't keep an eye on it, it gets you. It seems like once you just go straight out past the beach launch, you're good, but it can hit you again. It's kind of funky. So yeah, get Fish Legal. You can just check it out real quick. I think the app's free. Unicorn Theory, what's going on, man? From the 915-951. Not sure where that is, but welcome. I have to look up my my area codes. Eric the Judge Lehman, what's going on, man? Super busy. That's right. You got the business owner life. Hello from Crestline. Ooh, Steve Marie Muto, welcome to the show. The real Slayer right there. The Lake Gregory Slayer. Let's see here. We got all caught up. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody. But yeah, don't caught with your pants down in that MPA. Question for the majority: when you do a drop shot, the majority, are you casting and retrieving, or using it more like a slow pitch? For me, you can use it both ways. Eric, read the question again. When you do a drop shot, are you casting and retrieving, or using it more like a slow pitch? That was Spotty Bull's question, and you can actually do it both ways. You can, if you do like a 1 ounce weight, like if you watch, who is it, Rodney Marquez, he'll do the thing where you can cast it and then you retrieve it in slowly, so the weight drags on the bottom with like a swim bait behind it, so you can cast it and retrieve it, and that works too. But you can also do a really light, like a fluorocarbon, and fish it right by the pilings and just kind of vertical fish it right behind the pilings and stuff like that, and kind of just bounce it and tease it like a slow pitch. So that works too. It's both ways, whichever way you want to do it. If you're fishing like the eelgrass and stuff, it's probably better to cast it and then just slow drag it. That's actually a good halibut, um, good halibut technique too, and we'll go over that later too. But I was just wondering what the majority use it as. Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess they'll chime in and see what they fish it with. It's probably both. I imagine you probably get people going with both. I know I use it both. I haven't fished it in a while. I actually did fish it Friday. So let's see if there was any more news. No, I think that was it on the news. Just that MPA thing I thought was funny. Let's see. Yeah, we had Spotty Bowl this weekend, dude. Spotty Bowl was good. A lot of you guys crushed it, dude. Man, winter was crazy. I mean, there was some really good numbers for Spotty Bowl for sure. Um, I got absolutely destroyed personally. Me and Leonard. So we went out. Uh, you see our abysmal numbers on there. We went out Friday. I went out Friday night, and the only other person I saw was Leonard. I think Kevin went out there too. Nakata, he was in a different area, but he fished the shore that day, Friday, and then he won the shore pounders the Friday, the version of the shore, and then Leonard was the only other person that I saw go out there Friday, and I tried it out. I was like, it was so I kind of put one of our theories to the test, our fishing philosophies. It was a full moon, or pretty close to a full moon. It wasn't quite a full moon. It was like 80% light or something like that, and I knew it was going to be clear. So I figured, well, let me go fish at night because the water's been clear lately. I was like, maybe we'll get some cover. It'll be rough. We'll go fish at night. It'll be good. I hate fishing at night. I don't even like fishing at night, but it was like going for it on fourth down, right? If it works out, you're the hero. If it doesn't, you're like the biggest loser in the world. They came up the biggest loser in the world. When we were going on the water, we were passing Adobo was coming off, and I think Real Dreamer too. And once Adobo told me, he was like, he told me he caught 5 legals. He did really well. You're like my heart sank kind of because I was like, oh no, like in the winter I already knew that they had eaten then. So, and Real Dreamer said he did really well too. And this was like in the day we passed each other. It was like 12:45 or something like that before the 1 o'clock thing, and I knew I was in trouble. Once Adobo told me he caught his 5 legals and he was just coming off, I knew they had a good day and I knew the fish weren't going to eat at night. And 1 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I caught my first fish till like 5 o'clock. It was like 4. It was like 3 or 4 hours in. The sun had gone down. It was dark, and I caught 4 fish total. I got one little sand bass, a sculpin, and then I caught 2 spotties. And it was like hours and hours. The bite was dead. The docks were hammered already from the guys before. My logic was I was gonna go. I wanted to beat the pressure because I knew there was going to be like 60 people out like Saturday, right? Saturday day, even though I love fishing the day in the mornings, but I was like, I'm going to beat the pressure. I've been seeing people catch some big fish at night. So I got away from my comfort zone. I'm like, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to go hit it at night, see if I can crush it. Dude, it was bad. I didn't even, I left so early. I left I got off the water before 7 o'clock. So it was like 6:45. I had 2 spotties at this point. They were like 2 hours apart. I just left. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm just basically wasting my life at this point. I was like, I'm gonna go home and play Xbox. Um, it was pretty rough. So it was funny. So I got off the water. I loaded up a kayak. I was already on the beach by 7. Even though with the still an hour to fish, I was like, it's not turning back on. Loaded up my stuff, and it was like 7:50. It was probably so like 7:15. Right, I'm loading up my kayak, and then suddenly I see like another light, like another kayak light, and then there's Leonard. Leonard was off the water at like 7:15, and he's pushing his kayak up too. And that's what I do. And I was like, okay, it wasn't just me. So I told Leonard, I was like, man, I guess I'm not the only one that had a bad day. And he was just like shaking his head. So we got to commiserate together for like 30 minutes and talked about how big of a mistake it was to come at night. He was going to come in the morning. The morning was fire, dude. And then the next morning, and we knew it too because we even told each other. I was like, dude, it was so dead tonight. I was like, tomorrow's going to be fire. And it was. You guys killed it, dude. So that was awesome watching all those numbers come in. So don't fish at night, guys. Bad idea. Don't roll the dice. Do what you know what to do with. But yeah, that was one of the toughest nights fishing I've ever had. That's what Leonard said. Yeah, not only it wasn't one of the worst spotty that was one of the worst fishing I've honestly ever had on a kayak. Not just spotty bowl, not just the spotties, not anything. I guess what made it worse though was that I couldn't pivot because it was spotty bowl, so I was trying to catch spotties, So it's like normally I probably would have packed up and shot for some sand bass or something, but it was like it was spotty bowl, so we were dedicated to the spotties, even though there was no spotties. I caught two spotties, and they were like 13, and one was like a 10. And poor Leonard, he only got one spotty. So I was like, yes, at least I beat one of them. But that was so funny watching him come off the water. And it wasn't even 8 o'clock then either. And he was already over it. And I was over it. It was funny. I talked to Kevin Nakata and he had the same issue. And what was funny was, ironically, he said that after like 7:30 or like I think he said like 7:45, it picked up. So like that last 15 minutes before 8, he caught a couple in there. But I was like, whatever. I'm just going to chalk it up to this is mulligan time. It wasn't even worth staying out, man. It was pretty abysmal. But everybody else crushed it, dude. So that was cool. Super good day. Just seeing those winter numbers, it was pretty amazing. Super proud of everybody on there. And it sucks because I got my first two mulligans are going to be my first one because I'm not going to be able to make the next one in February. I'll be out in Florida for the next Spotty Bowl. So there's going to be some dates I'm going to miss, but unfortunately, I'm already chalking up my mulligans, so I'll be gone February. I'll be in Florida closing on a property there, so I got to go sign papers and do all the closing and stuff. So I'll be out of the Mission Bay one too. So I won't even get revenge till what? March. It's gonna be March till I even fish again in the Spotty Bowl. So I got to have that pathetic showing on my record for at least the next couple months. So it is what it is. But yeah, it sucked, dude. That night fishing sucked terribly.
Aaron caught your fish for you, apparently.
Yeah, Aaron, big water yak. He held it down, 17 spotties on the slow deck jigs. Salty too. He caught that big ass one on there. For those of you guys who are doing the Spotty Bowl, there is a side pot. There's a submission fishing slow death jig. So if you catch the longest spotty on a slow death jig, I don't even think it's spotty. I think it's fish. Largest fish on a slow death jig, you get some money. Get a side pot in there. So I think there's a Savage Gear one and a Cool Baits one as well. So don't forget that if you catch a good one on there, use it. No excuses. Have a DocuSign. Dude, we've DocuSigned everything. I probably could DocuSign the closure, but
they have to send a notary here.
They'd have to send a notary. I got to go out there and see it. I mean, I'm buying the property sight unseen, so I guess I better go see it when I close. Maybe too late at that point. I'm already going. I am going to go fishing out there in Florida. Jessica's right. She already signed me up a nice fishing trip.
A rough business only trip.
Not a rough business only trip. It is a business trip, but we're going to Disneyland. Got some fishing days set up. We're going to go see some other areas and stuff like that. So it'll be cool. Trust me, I'm not sad about missing Mission Bay either. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If I can skip one, I should have had my 2 mulligan days of just skipping Mission Bay, but I crapped the bed so bad. Now I'm going to have to perform at a Mission Bay because I do really well at San Diego Bay too. So when I had that bad outing, dude, that screwed me. But it is what it is. It was like one of those nights where you're like I'm like questioning myself. Like, God, do I know how to fish? I forget everything I know. What the hell's wrong with me? But like the few of us that went out Friday night struggled. All right, guys. And we got that out of the way. Oh yeah, and then yesterday I was supposed to go. So I missed the show yesterday, but I was catching up on some of it. Disney World, Brian. Oh, Brian, what's going on, man? You're not making the Cool Base right now, huh? We got 2 days, like 2-day passes to Disney World. I've never been there, so it should be cool. We got like some day hopper passes and stuff like that. Should be fun. But yeah, I was trying to catch the replay on the show because I was supposed to go fishing with Aaron Kruger yesterday. We planned on going out to. We were going to go on a daily double. He wanted to slow pitch some sand bass and stuff, so I was down. And then they canceled the trip because there wasn't enough people to go on the boat. So that kind of sucked. I loaded all my stuff up, re-rigged all my stuff yesterday, got it in the van, got it all ready to go. And then late at night, it wasn't that late, but late enough, they canceled it. So much for that. I was supposed to be fishing today. Didn't happen. It's okay. We still got Saturday. All right, guys. Let's see. Anybody else? Any more questions? If you do, I'll make sure you get a shout out. But yeah, let's do the let's go over the halibut deep dive. So basically, it's kind of like what I did with the spot. I want to go over some information. The halibut basically specifically what I want to talk about is the California halibut. California halibut is what we have here. There is a Pacific halibut as well. Um, they're two different fish, two different species, and you really got to know the difference. Not that we get the Pacific halibut over here, as far as I know of. They might come this far south, but just to show you guys some difference here, this is what we got. This is from the Fish and Game website, the Arts by Abachar. I actually have a print from one of these framed up that I got, I think, last Christmas. This is the one I'm talking about here. This is the California halibut. This is the Pacific halibut. So this is what we're talking about. Is this guy right here? A little bit different. The biggest telling factor is the diamond fins. The Pacific has the diamond fins, and the halibut has the more rounded fins, and it's got the smaller tail fin as well. So this is the guy we're talking about. And some of the terminology you guys will hear is when you hear left eye or right eyed. Like a right eyed fish is basically when you're looking at it. So it lays down on one side. Its belly is always the white. It's on white. So it doesn't swim. It's got basically one side. So the bottom of it is the white, flat side is always down. So when its mouth is on the right, looking down on it, it means it's a right eyed fish. And what's funny is California halibut are left eyed fish. Sometimes. There is, ironically, right-eyed California halibut. So they're not always left-eyed. Most of them are left-eyed, but they can be right-eyed. And another interesting fact is when they're born, they actually have the eyes on both sides of their head, and then it actually rotates onto the flat side of their body there. But I know a lot of people like fishing the halibut, and they're elusive to a lot of you guys, and myself included. They're fun to catch, but they're definitely not the easiest thing to catch. Let's see here, and I'll put some of the information in here. I'll put the links of where I got all the info, just like I did last time, so you guys can read along with me or check it out. Let me know if you guys didn't get that. But these are some of the factoids we got here. So let's see, the California halibut. It's a species that inhabits the sandy bottom, the depth of 183 meters. They congregate near shore waters of California. So basically, the halibut, when they're born, they actually inhabit the bays. So when they're born, they stay in the bays, and it's actually a nursery. So they stay in close to the nurseries of the bay. And as they grow, once they reach adulthood, they actually move out to the coast. Some of them stay in the sandy area, but it's not uncommon for them to actually grow up and then they move to the coast. The male fish, they actually mature sooner, in about 2 to 3 years. And then the females, I think, are 3 to 5 years. So the females actually mature later, and then they make their way out to the coast. So they incubate in the bay, they mate in the bays. It's kind of like their hatchery, and then they'll make their way out. And one of the most interesting things is obviously the physicalness of the halibut is that they're oval shaped. They're a flat fish. They have a symmetrical mouth, sharp canine-like teeth. They have long gill rakers and relatively small eyes. And then one of the more interesting things I have is they've right here, the chromatophores in their skin are capable of changing the animal's patterns to their environment. So the lateral lines arch above the pectoral fin. So one thing that's cool about the halibut that I actually didn't know until I started doing some research is that they will. These are some big ones I caught, but they'll change their color and their pattern based on the ground that they're in, almost like a squid. So they can switch up. So here's some California halibut, and you can see here on their pattern, they'll actually match what the bottom of the floor looks like. And I didn't know that they were that capable, just because most of the ones I pull up have that same pattern with these white dots. So when you pull one up, basically, when you pull one up, they're going to look like, this is what the seafloor looks like, is basically what they look like on their pattern. So they'll switch up. I mean, look at this one near the rocks and the sponges and all that. It's adapted its color. And this one too is in a different sandy area. So they can actually change. Their skin will change based on how they look. And these are important to take note of too, because this is where they live, guys. They lay in the sand. They stay flat on the ground, and they're ambush predators. what they do is they wait for fish swimming by. They wait for crabs, whatever it is. They lay in wait, and when something comes by, they'll pop up and get it. They will chase. They'll make chase for stuff for sure, but um, a lot of times they're ambush predators. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's the coho salmon. And that's the other story. Yeah, so the chromatophores, that was something I definitely didn't know. And then here you've got the reproduction cycle. The halibuts reproduce. So here's I was talking about. They spawn in the shallow waters in the coastal areas. The eggs are fertilized externally. Males become sexually mature at 2 to 3 years of age. The standard length is 20 to 23 centimeters. Females mature at 4 to 5 years at 38 to 48 centimeters. So they mature later, but they do. So the males are a lot smaller when they're able to be mature, and then the females are bigger when they become more mature. The spawning season occurs from February to August. Most commonly take place in May. California halibut eggs. Yeah, you don't need to know all that stuff. The small things. The lifespan longevity. That was crazy. These things live up to 30 years, guys. The California halibut live up to 30 years in the wild. And they're genetically older in Southern California as opposed to Central California. I don't know if that has to do with the water or what it is, but I mean, these fish get pretty old. And sometimes you can find them like 50 plus inches. They used to be, absolutely behemoths, but we don't have so much of those anymore, but they definitely do get big. Oh, and this is what I was talking about early. So these are the kind of things that you need to know when you're trying to catch halibut. We'll go into that a little bit later, but the California halibut, they're solitary ambush predators. They lie on the bottom waiting for their prey to swim by. They use their chromatophores to help them match the color and the pattern of the sand in the muddy flats in which they inhabit, which allows them to be inconspicuous to their prey, contrary to popular belief. Or they can be rather, contrary to popular belief, they can be rather active, as they've been seen swimming in anchovy schools and chasing fish up to the ocean surface, sometimes even leaping out of the water to catch them. Yeah. And this is something I've actually seen with my own eyes. And if you target halibut, this is something that you'll see as well. Even though they lay on the ground and they're ambush predators, they will chase bait. This happened. I went out with Brian. Remember, I was out there with you, Brian, and we were fishing halibut. We were on his boat. We went in this channel, and I think we both had chasers where we threw out the A-rig, let it sink down, and we were reeling it in. And he had one almost close to the boat, and there was a halibut was coming up right behind it. And that's not uncommon to see, guys, that you'll see them actually following your A-rig, especially your swim baits and stuff like that. They'll make chase for it. Now they do lay on the ground, but it's not like they just come up and then they go back down. They'll follow the bait. They'll follow A-rigs. I know on Roman Castro, check out his YouTube video. He actually had a video of it where he had a camera on his A-rig. And one time he was in Mission Bay and he was dragging the A-rig behind with the camera on it. And you can legitimately see the halibut were like, they'd swim for a long time and they'd chase it. So don't give up on it. It's not necessarily that you just have to pass it. They're not going to just come up 2 feet and go back down. They'll follow it. So just think about that. Remember to pause, change up the speed on the A-rig and stuff like that a little bit. Cause that'll definitely make the difference for sure. So when you read these things, keep in mind, that their habitat and everything, this is going to help you catch more halibut, just understanding them better. The halibut are carnivorous with their diet. So the diet's important too. Changing with the association of growth, they feed both day and night, but appear to favor catching prey during the day. Juveniles less than 55 millimeters feed mainly on small crustaceans, small arthropods, and shrimp. And as they grow to 55 millimeters to 230 millimeters, they feed on shrimp and small fish such as gobies, top smelt, and California killfish. As juveniles, they grow and migrate. So that's something interesting. When they're small, they don't really eat fish. So they're eating crabs, they're eating shellfish, pretty much the forager stuff. They're not going after it. They're not flying off the ground looking for the big schools of fish. And according to this, they're only going after the fish once they hit juvenile age or once they get older, at which point that's when you start seeing them chase. So diet doesn't change until they pretty much become mature adults. Then they start going for the fish and stuff like that. So if you want to catch bigger legal size halibut, probably not fishing with the shellfish and stuff like that is probably not going to get it done. You're most likely going to get the small ones, which you don't want. So keep that in mind. They will eat shrimp and stuff too, the bigger ones, and I'm sure the bigger ones will eat the shellfish and everything else. But you can kind of help, weed that out by throwing some bigger swim baits and schooling fish and stuff like that. And it says, like this was saying how they see the schools going in groups. That's probably why the A rig works so well. I mean, because they chase it, man. It's like they're swimming in the school of fish trying to pick off a few. Uh, let's see what else we got here. The halibut partially completely bury themselves in the sand to hide from their prey. Of course, we've got that. They wait and pray, so we know all that stuff until it's less. So here you go. They wait and watch the prey until it's less than 3 heads lengths away, and then they strike up with a swift upward lunging action, snatching it. If the strike fails, they will chase the prey until it is captured. So that was from a study of Hugan in 1990, Wertz and Dilmer in 1997. So they did a study there. So what that's saying is they'll lay on the bottom, and once it passes over their head, they're gonna strike. If it's too far away, they're not going to go for it. That's why halibut, they're very tricky because you've got to really put a bait like right over their head. If it's too far away, even if they see it, they're likely not going to go for it. They like it to just pass right over them. That's why covering ground is so important when you're going for halibut. That's why one of the most effective techniques is like bounce ball and trolling. Trolling for halibut is, or casting a rig is probably your best bet, where you can fan out and cover a lot of ground for that very reason. They're not roaming around. They're not going to go make chase on a bait that's way over there. They want to see it real close to them, right over their head or right in front of their face. Oh, here you go. Juveniles preyed upon shorebirds, waterfowl, and larger fishes. That's crazy. Seeing a halibut eat a bird. Uh, California halibut in coastal regions is fed on Pacific angel sharks, Pacific electric rays, California sea lions. Oh, maybe preyed upon. I'm sorry. That makes more sense. They're not eating the birds. So they're preyed upon by the shorebirds, waterfowl. I'm like, damn, these things are eating sharks. I didn't catch that. Okay, so that's what they're preyed upon. Yeah, that's not too important. And then another study that I found, and this one was really interesting. This was a study, and I'll put this one in the link as well, where they were. This was actually a 30-year study where they actually tagged 16,827 halibut over 30 years, and once they were tagged, 839 of them were recovered. So what they were looking for was, I'm going to put this in the chat too so you guys can have the resource. This one was basically looking at their pattern and behaviors and stuff like that. And the study is not too big, and this one was done in 1995. But the biggest takeaway from this is that halibut do not migrate very far. I don't want to get into all the numbers, but you guys can check it out. Basically, the gist of it was, of all the halibut that they captured, those 16,000 and the 800 they got returned, they were all, and this is the correlation to how far they actually migrated based on their size, but they all stayed in the migration distance relatively close. And you can see here, even based on their time at their station and then their size. As they got bigger, they tend to drift away a little farther. And sometimes there was mass migration, but then they would stay. So basically, you hear the sentiment sometimes where we talk about, if you catch halibut, there's probably more. Or if you catch one, it's probably going to be there again. That's because they don't move. They're not a big migratory fish. As they get older, they do go north-south. So they don't really go east-west much deeper. They stay coastal. They stay pretty close to the sand. And the sandbars and stuff like that, and they stay in the surf. They don't go that far deep. They don't go miles, out inland. Not saying it's unheard of, because it does happen, but generally they stay pretty close to each other, and they don't migrate very far. Every now and then, you'll get these outliers right here where they'll take off, but I thought that was pretty important. So wherever they're born and wherever they camp out, they tend to remain. Sort of like spotties. Spotties tend to congregate too, and it's kind of the same type of fish. They'll get in an area and they'll just kick it, and they'll pretty much spend their whole lives there. That was pretty much the significance of this study. Out of the 800 that they found, the tags that were returned to the 16,000, they were all really pretty close to where they were first tagged. So some of these were years and years later, 20 years, 30 years later, and they were like, a lot of them were less than a mile from where they were actually tagged in the first place. So I thought that was some pretty good knowledge. So you guys got this study too, if you want to look at it. And this was the tagging study that they'd found. And I just thought that was interesting on the migratory front. So we talk about catching the spotted bay bass. So the things that we do know, they lay in the sand. They're predators. They're very toothy fish. Don't put these things. Don't try to lip grip a spotty. I mean, a halibut. You're gonna lose a finger. Those teeth are gnarly, you guys. But a couple things. You want to be close to the bottom, and we talked about the drop shot. A couple techniques. Honestly, I think the best way to catch, if you're just going to go out and catch halibut, and you want to catch halibut, the best way is probably live bait. I don't think there's any real dispute about that. They're a predatory fish. Live bait is good. You can bounce ball a live bait, do like a halibut rig where it's got the one hook in its nose. Oh, I should have brought some of them up. I've made some myself, and then I do like a steel leader with like a treble hook at the end so that it hits the tail, because they like to hit the back of the tail. Sometimes they'll eat it, in stages. Live bait is probably key. But outside of live bait, you do have some techniques. You can actually fish artificials like you would a live bait. And when we talk about the bounce ball technique, you use like one of the cannonball type sinkers, either like a 3 ounce, sometimes up to an 8 ounce, or larger. And you use a 3-way rig where you have the distance, you got the swivel in the middle, you got your weight, and then you've got a trailer, sometimes 2 feet, 3 feet, 1 foot, whatever it is, maybe 18 inches off from the weight. And you just bounce the ball, and you put a live bait behind it. And the idea is you just cover a ton of ground. And the whole idea is you just want to drag that thing right over their head, and you'll get bit. You want to hit the sandy areas. The 2 legals that I caught last year, I haven't been fishing for halibut lately. But I did catch 2 legals last year, and they were both, let me bring these up. They were both actually in the docks. This was, I believe, a 22 incher. And this is the one I actually lost to a sea lion, guys, because I put it on this ring right here and it got ripped off by a sea lion. As I was talking about the story, I put it on the stringer on the side of my boat and it got jacked. So I lost this one. I was taking it home. This one was like 23 inches. And then I had this behemoth that you guys see at the beginning of the thing. This was a 33-inch halibut. I got this right about this time last year. It was mid-January. Absolute tank halibut right here. Both of these fish were caught on the next technique, which was an A-rig. So I caught these on an A-rig, and I caught them both in the docks. And they were caught inside the docks, not like in the middle of the docks, not on the pilings, not inside the slips where the boats were, almost right directly in the middle of the 2 things. You want to know why? Because it's sandy. Not only is it sandy, just because it's sandy doesn't mean they just live in the open sandy areas. They actually live just on the outskirts of where there's fish. They're ambush predators. So if there's pilings and there's grass and there's all this other stuff, they're going to live in the sandy area just outside of the structure, because the structure is still what holds the fish. They're going to eat spotties. They're going to eat bait fish. They're going to eat small fish, whatever it is, whatever comes by. And those fish they live in eelgrass. They live in the pilings. They live near the jetties. Like they know that. They live in the sandbars. Anytime there's dips or sandbars, out in the open. So you don't just drag a spotty. You don't just drag a bait looking for halibut just in the middle of nowhere. You actually want to be where there's structure, but you're not fishing at the structure, if that makes sense. There's the structure, there's the sand, and you want to be the sand just outside the structure, because they're waiting for the fish to venture out, and that's when they attack them. So both of these were caught in the docks in two totally separate areas of San Diego Bay, but I was fishing not near the pilings, just right down the middles of the slips. I was just dragging an A-rig about 1.5 miles. Curly tail grubs, the Kalins, white grubs. Both of these fish came on the exact same bait. Not too big, 3-inch curly tails, just dragging through the sand at the middle of the slips, and got one. I've gotten big ones right there in Liberty. where we're going to go. That channel in Liberty, actually, where we're going to launch is really good. You get lots of small ones there, but it's got that perfect sandy strip because on both sides you've got it's jetty and it's rocks on both sides of it. And if you go north or inland, you've got that whole sandy area. And I don't know how many legals you're going to get there, but you do get, there is actually a lot of halibut there. And then even outside where the fuel dock is, where that little sign is, I've caught some big ones there too, like 19 inchers, stuff like that. So they're out there. Just be on the outskirts of the structure into the sand. I would probably recommend. And let's see, we got the A rig covered. Oh yeah, I wanted to go back to the bounce ball. So also with the bounce ball, I tried this once and it didn't work for me, but what I have seen it is you can actually fish a um a jerk bait on your bounce ball rig instead of a live bait, and it'll force it to swim lower. So throw like a 4-ounce cannonball down, do your leader like you have live bait, but throw a shallow swimming Lucky Craft on there, and apparently that works. I was trying it. I tried it a little bit a couple weeks ago. I didn't have any luck, but um, I heard that is actually a thing too. So you force it down with the bounce ball, and then you just leave it behind you on a jerk bait with the little small bill. You don't want it diving like scraping into the sand. Just do one that's only going to dive maybe a foot down, but do your leader like 2 feet up.
Does that answer
And you should be
Pasquale's
good.
question? He was asking for an example of a ball of a. He said, "Any examples of that bounce ball?
Any
rig?"
examples
Can
of
you
the
kinda just
bounce
answer
ball
that
rig?
question, maybe?
Yeah, it's gosh, I'm so stupid. I should have brought one up. It's basically you just have your line. You have a three-way
Can you tell me what you get?
I don't think I have any rigged up. There's one on a pole rigged up, but it's a three-way swivel. So it's a swivel with the 3, 1, 2, 3. It looks like a triangle. So you're going to go your leader or from your line to the swivel, and then on the back end you're going to go to your swivel, maybe go 18 inches down and just do a weight. And then on the third one, going laterally, you're going to put your bait. And basically, as you drag it, it's like a reverse drop shot, or not even a reverse. It's like a real drop shot, but it's like a drop shot with a longer leader coming out. I'll put a picture up, guys, in my YouTube or maybe in Discord if you guys want to check that out. I know most of you guys know what it is, but yeah, the bounce ball works. So you can bounce ball live bait, or you can bounce ball like a jerk bait too. Actually works. Lizard fish, I hear, is the key. That's what Coach says. Slow pitch jigging works too. I've actually caught a monster. The very first, I bought a new slow pitch rod and we went to the bait barge and I caught a behemoth and I lost it. So we're going to talk about that too. It was the first fish I'd caught on that rod and I didn't know how the rod worked. It was like the super bendo one that I use. The very first fish I caught on that thing was a massive halibut. Slow pitch jigging, it's not the best, I don't think, for halibut, just because it's better to cover ground, I think. And if you get lucky and dump one on its head, they'll eat it. Anything will eat those jigs, but I think it's generally better to drag something, let them see it, and come across. I think Zachary Riggs caught a pretty big one on a slow pitch jig for sure. So it does happen. You can't get them vertical fishing, but my experience is better. Go for an underspin. Throw your cool baits out there. Those work great too. But I think A rig's your money. Even A rig with a bunch of cool baits. Doug Rubin, tell us what rod and reels you use. I just use like a heavier. Now the one that I caught here, I had a Fathom 15 um, reel, a conventional style reel, and that's what I was using for my A rig. And I had a 9-foot CalStar. Is actually my like my surface iron rod. It's a pretty heavy duty rod, so um, it was super long. Like I said, 9 feet, lots of backbone, and you want a pretty substantial reel too, especially when you're bounce balling because the lines are heavy, the weight's heavy. You're using heavy line, and these halibut they're big too, and they got nasty teeth. I would not go light. I would say definitely if you're going to go bait caster, definitely go 300 up, probably a 400 size. I would recommend. I like to use conventional reels. Like I said, I had the Fathom 15. That thing had mad crank. And when I caught this one, that 33 incher, I thought I was stuck. I was trolling it and and the rod jerked back and I was like, oh God, I'm stuck, and I turned around and I started reeling it in, tried to get it unstuck, and then it started pulling drag, and I was like, "Oh no, it's on." For those of you guys that don't know, if you haven't hooked halibut, um, the halibut are once you've hooked a few, you're gonna know that you have them. Halibut are lazy, and they're almost wet rag. And this kind of segues into my next part is how to land halibut and what to do when you have one hooked, guys. So this is very important, and I think this is where a lot of people make the mistake. Halibut are tricky to get to the boat or to get to your kayak. I know every single person here has probably lost one. I've lost them. Like I said, I lost that one, that monster that I had. And I know a lot of good anglers that lose halibut all the time. You cannot bounce them in your boat like you think you can, like a spotty. They're a different fish. They're very powerful. They're flat. They have nasty teeth. And what happens is when you hook one in, what's going to happen is a lot of times it just feels like a wet rag. You're going to think you got seaweed. You're going to be like, oh man, I caught a rope or a giant rag or seaweed or something. That's what it feels like. You're just going to drag it. A lot of times they don't put up a huge fight. They're just very lazy when you bring them in until you get them close and they get spooked. So you're going to reel it in. It's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel lazy. You're going to see it and you're going to be like, oh crap, I got a halibut. And what's going to happen is once it comes to the surface and it sees you and it sees your boat or it sees your net, you're going to get your net ready or your gaff. It's going to take off. They always jet when they see the boat or when they get to the surface. And that's kind of when the fight starts. So you're going to see it and you're like, oh no, it's a halibut. I didn't think I had anything on here except seaweed. But when they get close, they're going to turn around and they're going to take off. I guarantee you. And they're flat like a rug. When they start going, their whole body they're powerful and they're going to move. So keep your line tight. Be ready for it. Be ready for the pull. You're going to see it before it sees you. I guarantee it. You're going to know you have a halibut. So be ready for the run. Make sure your drag is set correctly. You don't want it too buttoned down. You want to let it, give it some time to run for sure, but you don't want it too loose. You don't want it to snap off. They've got some gnarly teeth. Make sure when you see it and you know you have one, take your time. Check your drag real quick. This thing is going to run. I guarantee you. And once it runs, let it go. Then you're going to have another chance at it. Usually when they come up the second time, they've been beat. They're not they're not going to keep running like a bluefin. They have that real big run at first. And then once you bring them back, they're usually good. Now, the second thing is actually landing it. Everybody loses halibut at the boat. Everybody. The biggest mistake is taking its head out of the water. Once you take your head out of the water, once you take a halibut's head out of the water, you've probably lost it. You can't really bounce them. They're super heavy. They're super awkward. And what happens is, this happens to almost everyone. It's happened to me too. You lift it and it doesn't come out of the water all the way, or it's heavy, or for whatever. It's like pulling a wet carpet out of the water. So what happens is you don't have enough backbone in your rod or whatever. You lift it, it doesn't come out. By the time you go back down, you've lost it. They'll unhook themselves. It happens. I've seen this happen dozens of times personally. I've seen it happen to people out there. I've had it happen to me. So when you see the halibut, make sure you have a net. And if it's big enough, if you're positive it's big enough, you can gaff it. Legal halibut, let's go over that, has to be 22 inches. The California halibut has to be 22 inches. So you better make damn sure that it's over 22 inches if you're going to gaff it. If not, you're going to net it. The only way you can bounce it is if you got to pull it hard and it's got to be in one shot, and you've got to have a strong enough rod to do it. Or you tie the line up in your hand and you yank it up, you put it in the boat. Once it gets in the boat, they go crazy. They flop. They're going to try to get out. They twist. Like it's wild. Anybody that's caught a legal halibut, man, they slap hard. It's flat. I mean, it starts pounding in the boat. It's pretty adrenaline inducing, but it's a lot of fun. If you're going to bounce it, it's got to be in one shot, but I recommend not doing that. Every time you lift its head out of the water, you're going to risk pulling the hook, because the weight, when the hook comes up and the weight comes up and you're bouncing it out of the water and shaking it out of the water, the hook is coming out of its mouth. It keeps freeing it because the weight differential between the hook and the fish, it's going to come loose, and they fight too. So when you see a halibut, don't panic. Realize what you have and remember to keep its head in the water. So take your time. If you get it up to the boat, look for your steer it around, but keep its head in the water. Keep the rod in there, kind of move it, steer it back and forth. Look for your net. look for what you got to do, but just keep his head in the water. Don't be hasty about pulling it up so soon. Once you're settled, once you've got your net, once you've got a plan, and even when you're going to net the fish, keep the fish inside the water. Do not try to pull this thing up to the side of your kayak in your boat, because a lot of times you'll lose it. When I caught that big beast, that 32 incher, I didn't have a net. I didn't have anything. And I kept it in the water and I kept the line tight. I actually reached in with both hands and I grabbed the fish out of the water and threw it in the deck of my kayak. I just grabbed it, like give it the kung fu grip, like right on its neck. And it was like, that thing was heavy as hell. And it's like, I threw it in real quick. The A-rig was still, it mangled the A-rig, completely destroyed that thing, bent the hooks out. But yeah, I didn't have a net with me. And if you don't, call somebody over, especially if we're out with a group. See who's got a net. It's okay to keep it in the water. Keep its head in, and just let it do its thing. And that's the biggest tip I can for landing it, because it's heartbreaking when you got a giant halibut and it breaks off. I'm telling you guys, it sucks, and it happens a lot. So just be patient. Do not pull it out. I think that's the biggest thing. You got one chance to really get that thing out of the water before you lose it. So take your time, assess the situation, and then yank it out. And that's all I got for the halibut special. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
I put some questions in that.
Well, we got some questions in there. Like I said, I'm not like the halibut de facto expert by any means, so I might not have all the answers. I've actually caught a lot of halibut, but only a few keepers. The legals are kind of hard to find. But I know there's some people here in the chat too that are really good at catching halibuts. I know Salty's got a few lately. Adobo got another beast too. Let's see here. Make sure you have a proper net too. Yeah, it's Steve Fisherman. Yeah, you were on it, man. That's what I was just talking about. Absolutely. Losing a legal spotty sucks. Yeah, that sucks too. I think it's worse losing a legal halibut for sure. Legal spotties are a dime a dozen. Those legal hallies are.
Matthew H had a couple questions.
Let's see here.
What about a bay bass fishing setup or a setup for throwing small swim baits? And where do you measure from on a halibut? Those are all Matthew H.
Matthew H, where do you measure from a halibut? Same as any fish. Put its jaw on the bump board, or you don't need a bump board like legally if you've got a tape measure, but from the jaw to the tip of the tail is fine. Like in most fish in California, there might be an alternate measuring. Many fish here actually have like an alternate measuring thing where it's like from the jaw to like the base of the tail and it's a different size. I don't really know how that works, but yeah, 22 inches from jaw to the tip of the tail, and you should be good to go. My buddy had one. Oscar said my buddy had one slap under his thighs and bite him. Yeah, dude, be careful, guys. Those teeth are nasty. You got to be careful with them too, because if they're not legal, like you can tear their jaw open really easy with like lip grippers and stuff. So
Dario said their lips are really weak.
Yeah, they're nasty. Oh, Dario said their lips are weak. Yeah, so you hit on that, Dario. Whenever you put that lip gripper in, a lot of it tears through that lower jaw right there. So if you don't plan on keeping it, just be cognizant of that. Maybe try to unhook it without lip gripping it. If you're going to kill it, need it, that's fine. Then I definitely recommend using the lip gripper, because it'll get in that jawbone and it can't really get out.
Todd says to gaff them in the belly.
Todd says gaff them in the belly.
And then they calm down.
They calm down, yeah, for sure. That's good news. Yeah, just make sure they're legal, guys, before you gaff them. So it's got to be, make sure that it's a big halibut. You got to be able to judge 22 inches from the top. And it can be deceptive sometimes too.
What about a setup for throwing small swim baits?
How about a bay bass fishing setup? Matthew. Welcome, Matthew, by the way. I don't know if I've seen you here before. Matthew Hua, glad you could join us. It's an honor to have you. It's a pleasure.
Also, Izzy De La Cruz.
Izzy De La Cruz. Welcome. I see you're a new guy too. Glad we can have you in here, man. Bay bass fishing setup. It depends what you want to do. About setup for throwing small swim baits. You know, a lot of these guys are the masters in here. I don't know if they answered. I'm still catching up on the chat. You know,
I didn't see that.
I think the M1, like my kind of go-to is the M1 inshore. Phoenix M1 inshore, the 1 ounce to 3 ounce. I think it's the smallest one they make, or not the smallest, the lightest one they make. And with probably a 200 size conventional reel, bait casting reel, not conventional, bait caster, either the Okuma Komodo SS, like the 732. What is that one? Like a Tranks. Do they make a 200? The Penn Fathom 200, the Daiwa was that the Daiwa Alexa, any Shimano SLX. Yeah, you don't even need to shrink. SLX is good if you're a beginner and you haven't really thrown bait casters. Probably an SLX DC. It'll help so you don't backlash and stuff like that. But yeah, M1 inshore, 1 to 3 ounce with the bait caster, 200 size or 150 size bait caster. I think it'd be perfect for swim baits. I know a lot of these guys will probably have opinions too. Even you can do it on a spinning rod. I would say any 2,500 to 3,000 size spinning reel with probably again like a Phoenix Maxim is a good kind of cheap rod that's got a lot of backbone. So Phoenix inshore with a conventional or like a Phoenix Maxim or like I got a Phoenix Bermuda, which is a really nice spinning reel, but those are kind of pricey and those are great. And those are also made for casting too. So hopefully that answered your question. Zachary Riggs, do you seem to be more legal halibut in the bay or outside the bay? All my legals have been inside the bay, Zach. To be honest with you, I haven't actually really targeted halibut outside the bay. I've gone surf fishing for them, but I never catch a damn thing. Oh, and that's not true. I did catch one. I caught a little one on a Lucky Craft, little Lucky Craft 110, but it was tiny, which doesn't make sense, right? Why are the studies say that the small ones are in the bay and the large ones are out in the surf? All my legals I catch in the bay, but you can catch them out in like La Jolla and stuff like that. Though there are big ones there, like outside of Mission Bay, is a good area too. I've never actually fished for them because whenever I go out, I've been looking for like the yellowtail. Right, we're going yellowtails, calico, rock fishing. It's like I'm always going for something else. But there are big ones out there. But my legals have come from inside the bay. The secret spot too. I catch a ton at the secret spot, but they're usually small. I catch a lot of them there, but none of the beasts. All the big ones I catch in the docks. Oddly enough. So let's take it for what it is, guys. They stick around there, man. You can get them. Learn my lesson, Mark Chi. I learned my lesson not having a net. We don't notice that I didn't know what I was doing and netted. Oh, dude, I remember that. I think it was one of the first times I fished with you, Mark. We went out to the secret spot. That's right, dude. I remember that. I think it was like the first time I met you, maybe the second, but we went out to the secret spot. Mark was still pretty new to our club, and we went out there, dude. And yeah, he hooked illegal at the secret spot, and he kept pulling it out of the water. And I don't know how that thing stayed out. And I'm like, Mark, stop. He lifted it and he was putting it down. He was because he was trying. He couldn't get it in the boat. It was like going. And I'm like, I don't know how that thing stayed on. Luckily, I came by. I was able to just keep it in the water, keep it down. Yeah, I rolled up with my net. That's right. Netted it for you. Gave it to you, dude. That was awesome. That was such a good catch, dude. I'm glad you got that one. Nice legal. Matthew H. I want a dedicated spotty setup for 3 ounce swim bait. Any such suggestions? Oh, 3 ounce. Yeah, even a Phoenix feather might not be bad, Matthew. Dedicated spotty setup for 3 ounce swim baits. Phoenix feather's good. Phoenix Maximum. If you're comfortable with spinning, just do like a 2,500 spinning reel. I don't think you go wrong. Let's see here. Might not be about halibut necessarily, but okay. The fence, a big Daiwa. I'm on the fence with about Daiwa Bg or Tatula. Any suggestions are helpful. I've got a Daiwa Bg. It's been great. I've never had the Tatula, but BG is awesome, dude. I've had a BG for years. Never had any issues with it. Solid reel. I don't think you can go wrong. I think bang for your buck, the Daiwa BG is really good, right? It's like that $115 price range. That's a really good reel for sure. Make sure you have a net on your boat. That's right, Doug. Net it up. Officially rethink my rod choices lately. Several dudes have expressed my rods are too rigid. I need to. Yeah, Zach. Like heavier rods, they're not always as good for sure. Dang, we're already over an hour. But I got to get to this last thing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the halibut deep dive. It was fun putting it all together for you. Leonard said it was a couple caught at the secret spot. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I think maybe if we go out, I think I'm definitely going to look for some halibut when we go out this Saturday. Uh, I don't know. After last spotty bowl, I probably need to work on my spotty catching game, but we'll see what happens. So we got a jig rigging. Salty wanted to know. Actually, he doesn't want to know because he invented this technique. This is one of my slow death jigs. This is the slow death sumo, and we're going to talk about rigging jigs and slow pitch jigs. So basically, a lot of these have different actions when they basically how they're tied. And Salty actually he figured this out. So this is the slow pitch sumo. I sell these submissionfishing.com, and I always hook them on the eye. I use a clip and I hook it right here. And what happens is with this jig, see how it's got that belly and it's got the like the channels in the side. Now when you fish this thing, it'll slide under docks. The belly will carry it. It'll go behind pilings. It'll go under docks and it'll wobble down. But the weight carries it so you can get underneath docks and pilings and stuff like that. That's the nice thing about this when you throw it this way because you're tossing it, boom, it's going to hit the water and slide. What Salty did is he hooked it on the other side and he hooked it on the butt side and he asked, well, what do you do if you hook it on the butt side? I was like, I don't know. I've never tried it. And this thing actually, it'll fall straight down. So it gets a completely different action than when you hook it on the eye side. So when you do the eye side, it'll slide with the heavy end. But when you hook it on the back side, this heavier side, opposite of the eye side, it actually just falls straight down and it doesn't get the sliding action. I thought which was pretty cool. So you don't always want the sliding action under docks and stuff like that. Maybe you just want to go straight down. Salty figured out you hook it to the butt, it'll actually fall straight down. Salty on this jig, this is the heavier one. I think this is a 60 gram. This is like Bait Bard's Destroyer, the 60 gram. I think Salty was using the 20 gram of this exact version, and he caught dude caught a big ass. He got a huge halibut, or not halibut, a spotty. I think he caught one of the biggest ones of the tournament on this one of the slow death sumo. So I got these for sale, guys. I know a lot of you guys have bought them, so thank you for that. They're selling out quick. Yeah, I just wanted to take a look at the rigging.
Did you go to Cal's question about the rigging too?
What did Cal say?
Top or bottom if single, and one or two on the slow death. One or two hooks, and top or bottom if single. Maybe you just answered that.
One or two. So the hooks. So basically, guys, when you're tying these, I know Cal had some questions too. If you're going to tie directly to the jig itself, tie it on the split ring here. The split ring that attaches to the hook. This is where you want to tie if you're going to tie a line. If you're going to use a clip, like I like to use clips when I fish. This is an oversized one, just for example. I go directly to the lure itself. I don't go to the split ring. So that middle split ring, you're going to tie to if you're going directly with line to the jig. If you're going to go clip, make sure your clip is on the side though, on the bottom half of wherever the bait's going to. Actually, this one, you're going to put it on this side and put your clip on top because you want the hooks to be facing the bottom. You don't want to clip it to this way because then it's going to get all tangled up. So you're going to go here. You're going to put your clip. That way the hook is free. Basically, as far as hooks, this one is so short. I give you guys two hooks on it. You honestly probably don't even need the bottom hook. I've been fishing it a lot with just the top hook. Usually when you're slow pitch jigging, you want the hook on the eye side and you hook on the top where that is. So some of you guys get jigs that they only got like the two set of hooks or they're missing a hook. Usually you want to jig it this way wherever the hook side is when you're slow pitch jigging, not on the back side like this. That's usually more like a yo-yo jigging and stuff like that. Not to say that they don't get bit, but typically the hooks on the eye side and then hook on the eye side, even if it doesn't have hooks on the bottom, because a lot of jigs don't have hooks on the bottom. With this one, it's probably overkill. You honestly probably don't need the hooks on the both side. But yeah, hook it this way for slow pitch. If you're yo-yo jigging, a lot of them you'll see come like this, but they'll have treble hooks, honestly, a lot of times. And then you just fish it a different style. But these flutter style like that. And like I said, the bottom hook, that's up to you guys. If you don't want to lose these as much, probably take the bottom hook off and just fish it with the top hook. You'll still get bit. You'll still land fish for sure. Save the hook or something. Get a free hook. Or save it when you need another one. The ones like these, I would always leave the bottom hook on. And this one too, you could just rig. I always rig this one on the eye side, Salty. I don't know if you had any difference with this one on the back. This is the assassin jig, but how the sumo slides under docks and goes vertical. This one can this can be fished like a Colt sniper too, and you can actually just put a treble hook on the back, or you can fish it with the assist hooks. And the 40s and 60s, these can be cast out. They'll slay in the Hoya. You can cast them like a Colt sniper, let them flutter, then reel them in, or you just fish them vertical. A super vertical jig right there. Thanks for the questions on that, guys. Submissionfishing.com. We got the new hats too. By the way, I got the flat brim hats. So if you guys want to get those, pick them up. They're on sale. There's only a few of these camel ones, but we got a lot of the black and a lot of the gray. Good stuff. Zachary Riggs, 2 bays, 1 day. Oh, yeah. Special shout out to Hugh Janus over at Spotty Ball. I heard he did pretty well, got in the middle of the pack. It was a good showing. I think he did really well. So shout out to you, Hugh. Hopefully we see you on the next round. I know Brian he wants to see you in first place for sure. Maybe next time. Awesome, guys. Well, yeah, if you don't have any more questions, hopefully you answered them all. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the deep dive. The 16-incher Salty right here. 16-incher came on the Sumo 20-gram confetti rigged backwards, and he got a 1475 on the Sumo Sunset rigged normal. That's awesome, Salty. So what Salty's saying, this is the Sumo, and this is the confetti. So he caught one on this 20-gram hooked on the back here, but then he caught another legal of 14 3/4 hooked on the eye side in the glow and the sunset color. The sunsets, I didn't sell too many of the sunsets yet. Don't sleep on the sunset, guys. The whole thing glows. Those things are awesome. The glow jigs they're really good at like sort of like the end of the day. They smash those glow colors. I know they're kind of like funky and they're kind of unnatural, so a lot of people don't like gravitate towards them, but they're good, dude. Get you a hat, letter. They're on, man. Yeah, awesome, guys. Bought a few of those sunsets. Yeah, you did, Salty. Hell yeah. I was a slow uptake on that one. Well, guys, I won't take any more of your time. Colts
had a question.
Matthew had a question.
Sorry.
What's that?
Matthew had a question right here at the end. Why they measure jig heads and football spinner baits in ounces? We get these in grams.
Matthew. Oh, what did he say? Something about the ounces and grams. Matthew. Yeah. Basically, the grams and ounces. Yeah, everything's different. Sorry, you guys, I keep you here talking for a little bit, but so when you're talking about grams, Colt snipers are also in grams. Slow pitch jigs are in grams. Basically, because slow pitch jigging, it's a Japanese style. It comes from Japan, even though my jigs obviously aren't made in Japan. They're not a Japanese product. It's slow pitch jigging came from Japan, so they use grams. It's a different weight system. It's a metric system. Here in America, we use ounces, so it's just different. So usually the real Americanized stuff, the underspans, everything that kind of originated here, we use ounces. So we use ounces for weight. But things that came from Japan or other fishing styles from different countries, they're measured in grams. Since I've been doing slow pitch jigging and same thing with like Colt snipers and stuff like that, I've become so accustomed to grams. And when you start getting into slow pitch rods and everything like that, they're based in grams too. So when you're using specific rods to specific lures that are all in grams, like for example, I wanted to keep it copacetic with everything that I have. So instead of switching to an ounce style and then confusing again, it's like slow pitch grams are usually, since slow pitch jigs are always in grams, I wanted to keep them as grams because now that slow pitch rods are coming out, they're still listed as grams. So I'm trying not to like confuse more and cross pollinate, but it's just a technique. It's just from where they originated. So different style, which is weird because when somebody tells me ounces, like they want to know how many ounces of slow pitch jigs are, I'm like, I don't know. I do everything in gram too. It's crazy. You know how you get used to something. US is moving to the metric system, Todd. Yeah, I agree. They should. I think it's dumb that there's no need for two measuring systems in the world. Like it doesn't make sense. We're the only ones that don't use it, and then wherever you go anywhere else, or you're looking for, anytime you buy parts that aren't from America, all our sizes are standard, and then you get everything L's from Germany or something. Everything's metric, and then you got two set of tools, and it's confusing. Especially, I think, as the world is becoming more and more globalized with trade and everything like that. Um, I don't think going in the metric system is a bad idea. We're like the only ones that do it, and it's kind of ass backwards. And if you just teach a generation, yeah, Salty saying metric system is better. I agree. I don't think we have the superior measuring system. What do we use? Imperial. We have the imperial system. Yeah, I think metric is.
At least we don't use pecks and bushels and stones.
Yeah,
though.
bushels. Yeah, stones. That's that stuff. It gets confusing, but
14.2 pounds.
metric makes a lot more sense. Yeah, you guys all agree. I think you just teach one generation, it'll change over. It won't take won't take that long. Yeah, freedom units all the way.
Stupid time change.
Oh, time change. Don't even get me started on that. Why do we do so much stupid stuff? Especially here in California, we love shooting ourselves in the foot. Yeah, daylight savings, that's a whole nother stupid thing we still do just out of tradition. It's crazy. I have to teach two systems. At least you're teaching both. I didn't learn I never learned the metric system in school. I mean, I took like auto classes and I kind of picked it up, but it was mostly domestic engines. So
I was homeschooled, so I learned it.
You get stuck with it. It's funny now. I'm learning more of the metric system being a fisherman that I have way more than anything else. Is pretty funny. Society of American Engineers. Good stuff, man. Matthew H just found this channel. Might have to get some of these Channel Islands Harbor. Yeah, dude, pick some up. Like I said, I'm running thin on the 20 grams. Like the golds I have, and the golds are good. Don't sleep, but I think there's literally like two of the blue stripe ones and a few of the live bait ones too in the 20 gram. Plenty in 40 to 60s. So if you're using them in the islands, that's probably the way to go. But yeah, that's awesome, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the support. Go get your hats, get your jigs, everything you get at submissionfishing.com.
Aaron and Kel want me to do 2 hours.
Hopefully you guys learned something. You guys want me to do 2 hours. I don't think I have that much content. I'm already losing my voice. Got to keep it fresh. Got to keep it new. But I'll see a lot of you guys on the 22nd. Thanks for joining. Hopefully you learned something. Like I said, we're all out here trying to get our black belts in fishing. Thank you for all the likes, all the love. Let's keep pushing this channel forward. And you guys are great. Thank you for joining. And we'll see you next time, guys. Oos.